a young man, about of bar mitzvah age. I'm Jewish, in case anybody didn't know.
What age is that? I never know.
13. You get bar mitzvah after 13.
Okay.
You can technically get bar mitzvah at any point after you turn 13.
Okay, cool.
Like you can be 30, convert, and get bar mitzvah.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was so excited because it meant I could dance with this one girl who I've had a crush on for so long. Let's call her Juliana.
Juliana?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had a crush on Juliana since we were in elementary school.
Okay.
And I was like, this is my moment. I've been waiting for. It's my day. I'm a man now.
Seize the moment, Jack. You
Carpe
don't get these moments.
Yes. And it was, a blast. I wish I could find my bar mitzvah DVD. Because I would love to watch it and just kind of think about, or see, my old face and my friends from that era. And Dean saw my bar mitzvah picture.
It brought joy to my heart. Like, when I saw it, I was just like, this is everything I would have thought of.
Yeah. I'm in a purple velvet suit, a fedora, and skinny jeans. I wish I want to dress up as myself for Halloween one day and do that. I just need to find a purple velvet suit.
What's our age difference? 7 years?
Nelly.
Yes. So
our age difference is Nelly's peak. 7 years, yeah.
Okay. So when you had your bar mitzvah, because when did you have your bar mitzvah? You remember the date?
January 23rd, 2011, more or less.
Wow. Okay. So when you was having your bar mitzvah, I was deep into my drinking habit before my 21st birthday. In my third year of college.
My sister got drunk at my bar mitzvah and danced with my friends. I was so fucking mad. Not that she got drunk, but that she danced with my friends. And also she danced with a guy who had was the coolest dude in school and had made out with the girl I really liked.
Oh, there's nothing worse than the guy you don't like.
I actually liked him.
Okay.
He and I were friends.
Friends might be a little loose. Oh, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah. Friends might be a little loose. Hang on one second. Just to pause. Remember my dad, because my dad didn't want to do it. So my dad's friend said, my dad told his friend, hey, if Chloe wants a drink, just get her one.
How old is your sister?
She was in the 10th grade. We have a European style of parenting.
Okay. You said 10th grade.
Now, what's the term my dad uses? It's so fucking funny. Alternative parenting.
I just called it white. Anyway, because the black parents might not get daughters.
There's plenty of white parents who would do the same thing.
You know what? Let's just call it European and continue.
Okay, fine.
Hopefully no one feels offended by it.
They'll get over it.
Yeah.
My dad's friend hands my sister a drink in a brown paper towel, wrapped around it.
So no one can see what's in it.
Yeah, it's just so silly. It was so much fucking fun. A lot of fond memories of that day. Me and that girl danced a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened because I had no idea how to make something happen. I was just existing and happy to have a girl close to me, in my proximity.
Right.
Years go on, nothing happens. She goes off we get to high school and my sister's so mean to her. Just because, and my sister will admit it now, she was a mean girl in high school.
Okay.
And she was a senior when we were freshmen.
Gotcha.
And I thought I was going to go to high school, and because my sister was cool, I would automatically be cool. That's not how that worked.
Nope. The coolness gene never translate and just goes over like, oh, you're this person's family member. You're instantly that. No, you got to prove yourself. It's a different proving ground.
Yeah.
When you go to high school.
And nobody was, I was just not cool. I'm the least cool person. I mean, I'm still not cool, but
yes, you are. You're cool to me.
I'm not cool. I'm independent.
And that's cool.
And yeah, like I think I have those sort of traits. But anyways, but when you're in high school, like being independent and liking your own things isn't cool. And also, I really wanted to be cool, which is the least cool thing you can do.
Yeah, that's tough.
Needless to say, between my sister being mean to her and me trying so hard to be cool, this girl had no interest in me. Or so I thought. We had a couple classes together. We talk here and there. I was never at any parties. Like, I never saw her outside of school.
Okay.
And after 10th grade, I moved up to Vermont. Because I don't know if I've shared this. I went to a boarding school for skiing.
No.
So we train 8 to 12 in the winter and go to class 1 to 5:30.
Holy shit.
And then that's in the winter. And then in the fall of spring, we have workouts like built into our day. So like on like a few days, 3 out of the days of the week, we would go to class. Yeah. What's up?
So your life, like how people say ball is life and they make their whole life about basketball. Ski is life for you. Like skiing has always kind of from like high school on been life.
Yeah. Since the 11th grade. Well, I mean, before that, 11th grade, I guess, really manifested it. That was the first year I skied 100 days.
Jesus.
I mean, the past like 4 or 5 years, I've skied 200 plus days.
Hey, man.
Like a season.
Respect the fucking grind, because Lord knows, most I've been is on a fucking giant tube down a slope, and that's
a ton of fun, though.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I flew off the bitch.
I love that, though. Not trying hard enough. Fall and spring, we would go to class for like...
Excuse
mic
me.
down, camera down.
Yep, mic down, camera down.
Difficulties.
Sorry, keep going with the story.
We would go to class for like a couple hours, then we would have a workout, and then we would have lunch, and then we would go to class in the afternoon at 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have another workout, and then we would have a sport, and then we would have dinner. And then like the really crazy one of us, like the real like ball is life people, we would go get another workout like after dinner.
Okay.
Because we just like didn't stop. And also I'm not an athletic guy. Like I had to work twice as hard to get half the results of like my friends. So I was like, I just can't stop. Like I have to do these extra workouts or I'm never gonna get
right.
Sorry about that. You're buzzing again. Have 3 classes each an hour and a half.
Right.
So that we could work out for like 2.5 hours. Like so, we
really
had
like a regimented schedule. It's like, as you said, it's a boarding school. Like it sounds like a boarding school.
Yeah, no, it's a boarding school.
Yeah.
If you were about it, you lived, breathed, and ate skiing.
Right.
It's a great environment. I mean, it's a great environment if you're a competitor. It produces some really weird kids.
I mean, yeah. Like that type of regimen and that type of like schedule, like you're gonna be a little different.
And kids go there now. They're starting to open it up like to middle schoolers, to which I think is awful. Like you just shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go at that age. I don't care how good they are, because you're gonna be so fucking weird, and not in a fun way when you get out.
I think it's different to send an 11th grader who's already had 2 to 3 years of high school, already been through middle school. They have that you built that social currency of like, you know how to socially interact and everything of that nature. And also middle schoolers today, as someone who teaches middle schoolers, are so different than say a middle schooler when you were in middle school, where they need more social stuff away from like an isolated thing.
I mean, it's kind of that COVID generation thing. But anyways,
yeah, that's true.
I graduate that high school. I don't see her, don't talk to her. And also when I like left Long Island, I didn't tell anybody I was leaving. Like I told like my best friend, I just like dipped. So like people like were going around like, did Jack die? Like, where is he? my one friend I told like told me like, yeah, I'm spreading the rumor that you moved to Europe, like to the Swiss Alps. I'm like, sick, love it.
When you said spreading the rumor, I thought you was about to say, so I've been telling everybody you died. But you just ended. You just said.
I know. I ran into somebody like a year or so later after I moved, and they were like, "People thought you had died."
Oh wow!
Hilarious. Go to college, don't hear from her.
Right.
Graduate college, don't hear from her. A couple of years go by. I see that she's gotten married, and divorced, and she's moved around a lot. And I don't know how we start connecting again, but we do.
Okay.
We start sending some Snapchats to each other. These Snapchats take a turn to the naughty.
Of course. There's very slim room with messages that can disappear like that.
At a certain point, she like mentions, she's like, well, I don't think you knew me when I had double G's. Damn. And it turns out she had a crush on me too. And I had no idea. I'm like, how would I have ever known? She's like, yeah, I used to like write your name in my notebooks.
Ooh, okay. So that's a crush. Like you really.
Yeah. And I remember I'm like at my bar mitzvah when you were dancing, you like turned to the kids whose bar mitzvah was next week, and you're like, next week it's your turn to like get all the attention. So I was like, oh, that means she doesn't really. Yeah.
I had to laugh at your pain, but that's wild for a girl to be dancing with you. And then look, next week's your turn, Playboy.
We keep talking and eventually it comes up like, hey, she isn't back in Long Island. I'm going back to the East for a bit. I'm like, let's have a reunion.
Yeah.
And I came back and we walked Main Street like we were in middle school again. And we like went to like our favorite old places and did like a compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her mom again. Her mom was always super sweet to me. I was always a really like I said, I was always a really geeky, weird kid, and the mom always like pumped me up and super nice. So I got to see her and talk to her.
Right.
And yes, we did hook up. And I spent the night at her place.
Okay.
And we got ice cream by the wharf. It was a real like rom-com back together sort of thing.
This feels like a Walk to Remember or something like that. Like it felt romantic movie comedy-esque. I'm just like, look at us all these years later.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And I thought maybe we would see each other again, and maybe she would come visit me in Colorado because her brother lives nearby. And it just petered out, as these things often do. But there's always like the magic. You still have the magic of that one day and that one night together.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the reunion is better than the reality. So you get to pretend for a day. Like, what if we had been high school sweethearts and I hadn't moved, or if we had known we had a crush on each other, and you can just imagine and have a little fantasy, a very benign, innocent fantasy.
Yeah.
About what if.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better with the what ifs, man. Sometimes the what ifs is better than the reality.
This whole thing is just so that we can make my bar mitzvah photo the cover of the podcast episode this week.
I'm going to have so much fun drawing and digitizing that photo. So much fun. And with that,
Yep, you do it. Hit us with
And
the
with
intro.
that, we want to welcome you guys to another episode of Wrestling with Wromance. Jack just gave it amazing, honestly, a heartfelt story. Like that made my heart warm up just now.
Yeah, see, it doesn't have to all be horny.
No, not at all. I'm your co-host, Life Vadim, and I'm joined by the amazing
Jack Simon out here. Hung out with Lucy last night, so I'm still coming down a little bit. Still buzzing a bit.
I was gonna ask you how you
if you know, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how you feeling. Like, do you still feel there, or are you like tempered down?
I'm tempered down.
Okay.
Like for that, it's not a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've hung out with Lucy a bunch in my life, and she's a trip, but you learn how to take care of yourself and know what your like limit is.
My girlfriend.
I've only learned because she's taken me past my limit before.
My girlfriend, who you met yesterday as we watched Dynasty together, she's a user. Not all the time, but she has way more experience than I ever have or possibly will. So I've seen her, and usually come down can sometimes be like heavy, like you just really need like sleep.
Yeah. But, I mean, last year when I came back from Neotropolis, I hung out with Lucy way too much. And, like one night, we hung out once earlier in the night, and then I met a friend. I made a friend who was also a big pro wrestling fan. And you know how it's like when you meet like a pro wrestling fan in the wild? Like the connection is instant.
Oh, yeah.
You're immediately best friends. So he brought over a couple Lucy's. We're good.
Yeah.
He doubled down. I doubled down, and it was in those breaking the fourth wall here. I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna go past the carny language. It was in those like suckers. Like, like almost like not a Jolly Rancher, but the thing that it's like a candy that you put the droplets on.
Yeah. And
those are always dangerous because you never know how much is in them. And I was doubling down, and he took it. He like tells me the next day, he's like, yeah, I woke up in the med tent. Just like came out of it. Like, we're all right. He was fine. I knocked on so I was sleeping on top of my Jeep.
Right.
What? So what Neotropolis is, it's an all immersive cyberpunk festival where they build like a city like Blade Runner in the desert. And you live in it. You have a character, you're in theme. It's role playing. It's like for 5 days. During the day, it's like living inside of a video game. You run missions, you join alliances, and then at night it's just massive party.
I was gonna say, is it like an RPG futuristic Burning Man? Is that like the best way to actually?
Yeah, much more role play than Burning Man.
That's why I said RPG, like role playing, like you are in like a character type of thing.
Like there's definitely similarities. Like there's definitely a middle of that Venn diagram, but it's less art exhibit, less music, and more role play.
Gotcha.
And I do want to go to Burning Man. It's not high on my list.
I know people who go every year.
Yeah, like, and I don't think it's what the internet makes it out to be nowadays. Like, it still looks fun and kind of grimy and cool and whatever. Like, I had friends who went last year, and there was that whole fucking thing about the mud and like everybody's drowning in mud, and they're like, "Yeah, we got stuck, but like it worked out. Like, I still had a blast." People just want to shit on things. People just want to shit on things they haven't experienced.
They haven't experienced, and then people live by this image they draw in their head, and they're just like, why doesn't it live to what? It's like sometimes going to these things without expectations.
It's the important thing.
Yeah.
A little more role play and a bunch of drugs floating around another middle of that Venn diagram.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I knocked on. And outside of the city, outside of the theme zone, you can just be in your casuals. I saw another dude who was wearing a Scissor Me Daddy t-shirt. We like every time we saw each other the rest of the week, we would like go running up to each other and start scissoring one another. I get back to my Jeep. I'm sleeping on top of it. Like I just rolled out my sleeping bag and slept on top of it. And I'm like laying there and I'm staring at the stars. And I just like roll off and I go up to my neighbor's RV. We had spoken like 2 sentences to each other. And I just knock on the door. And I'm like, hung out with Lucy too much. Can I please come inside? I've got like my sleeping bag wrapped around my shoulders. And they're like, yeah, come in. They were super sweet. And I'm sure I was just spewing gibberish. But they just fed me Capri Suns and talked to me. And
oh, that's sweet.
Gave me some Mary to calm me down. Which was the last time I hung out with her. And it was super cool. And it's always fun meeting pro wrestling fans in the wild because it's so instantaneous, the connection.
Oh yeah. Like, I have like some, I love me a good graphic tee. So I definitely have a friend who made some tees. He has a shop called Superbike Cope, COP. So he had a WrestleMania 2000, like the cover, and he put it on the shirt. And I had it on the train. And someone it's like that thing when a wrestling fan sees you and they're just like, I know exactly what game that is. You are a particular person. And they came up to me, you're like, do you watch wrestling? I'm like, yeah, I watch wrestling. They was like, oh my God. And it's just like when you meet a wrestling fan, it's something different. Like sometimes I wear wrestling shirts to the gym. Like the other day I had like a Undisputed Era t-shirt on, which is like fucking having vintage on at this point. So, and someone had like the newer CM Punk shirt on. And like I was just doing like lateral raises, and I caught them looking at me and looking at the shirt, and they were just like, and we just kind of like a head nod moment in the gym of just like, yeah. Oh man, and being a wrestling fan and being out there in the wild is unique, but we also have moments where it's like I think all of us have those moments where we're like, Jesus, it's great to be us right now, and coming off of last night. I feel like, my God, am I ever so happy to be a wrestling fan.
I have to rewatch Danielson Ospreay sober to like confirm it. But the greatest match I think I've ever watched.
I've never seen some shit like that. I actually, and in case she ever does watch this, I love you, babe. But I need to watch this in my house, in my own peace and nature, and in my own habitat. Because I was like watching it, and her cousin and her are having like a conversation behind me, and I've never wanted to turn around to 2 people and say, again, I love you, but say, can y'all please shut the fuck up? Can you please shut the fuck up? But it was nonstop. It's one of those matches where I'd be like, there's not one thing I would want them to do different.
Nah.
Like it was top to bottom. Fucking amazing.
I thought it would have been cool. And I'm not saying they should have done this. I'm just like talking because that's our job here.
Yeah.
Beginning of the match, I had in my head, I'm like, if this goes to a draw, I would be okay with it. I would be okay with it, and I think that would be really cool.
When I heard them say 60-minute time limit, I was like, okay, so we're not getting a draw. And not only are we not getting a draw, this might be the longest match on the pay-per-view. And I think it was. It was 35 minutes, which it didn't feel like. But there were moments in this match where I was just like, I was breathtaking. Like the tiger suplex off the top rope. In my head, I was like, no. We can't listen. I'm cool with Germans off the top rope. A tiger suplex. No. That's gross. That's absolutely
gross.
That's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting. When he did that, I was like, oh my God. I was like, we haven't even gotten out of second gear yet. When the Os cutter getting switched into an arm bar that got turned into the label lock. The Lami stroll out the corner into the label. I was just like, how the fuck are they coming up with this shit? I was so blown away by this match.
My favorite. So I love the story of Ospreay is trying to hit his finisher from the beginning because he knows the longer this match goes, the more likely Danielson's going to win. Ospreay's best chance is to hit him with a KO with a finisher early.
I think also for Danielson, he might also feel the longer this goes because Ospreay's the younger wrestler. So it's like they both feel the other can withstand long matches.
Well, I thought it was more of like, I'm the younger wrestler, so I can pack the bigger punch. I can hit the higher impact moves.
That's what it is, but if you also look at it, it's also the thing of like Danielson is proven to be Iron Man, but also Ospreay has been in some of the grossest matches that a person can take of punishment. Like with him and like Kenny did a Crux wrap from the top rope, and this man still fired back. Like he took some brutality, like head first through a table, a Japan table at that, which ain't really fucking light, but. The most beautiful moment, and I've seen it, and I've probably watched this damn video on Twitter. AEW is reposted, and I've watched it like 30,000 fucking times already. It's Danielson in the corner doing the yes chance to like charge up, and then Ospreay slowly takes off the elbow.
Well, that was the finish.
No, well, that's going into the finish because then that's when he did the Tiger Driver, and then he did another hidden blade. But it's like them, just that moment of them staring off. And charging like two people in a fucking joust with their fucking things just ready to go at each other. And I was just like,
but that's what also I see as like the Ospreay knows I have to end this now because he took, even though his arm was damaged, he took the pad off, and because he knew if this keeps going, I'm fucked.
Yes,
like I got one shot to win this. I got one shot to beat Danielson. And this is it. Is right now when we're staring across from each other and lining one another up. He knows my arm is weak, and if he catches me again, that's wraps. So also, let me take this pad off and land.
Also, Danielson knows he probably can't take too many hidden blades because he's already taken two at this point. He took one off the apron, and he took one that's like a pop-up, and he's probably looking at it like, if I take another head hit, it's like two people knowing we're coming to the end. It's like the epic clash in a movie, like that epic point of like climax. Now, also, I'm about to get into my stuff with Danielson. I love Danielson. I don't hate this match. There's nothing I hate about it. I need him to stop with the fucking injury sounding like he's catching a seizure. I need it to stop. Like I love him. I instantly love the man. But Jesus Christ, my stomach don't need to be at my asshole every fucking time you decide to start doing a seizure on the goddamn floor.
Listen, he's a sick fuck. That's what he's gonna do.
It's disgusting though.
It's like what he's gonna do. The more attention it draws, the more you hate it, the more he's gonna do it.
The worst part, I don't know if you was able to hear it, because there was a part where he was just after the match, he's like, fuck.
Oh fuck, I know. And I was like, this is the greatest Selleck in the history of wrestling.
I'm just like, I fucking hate you, but I fucking love you at the same time. Oh, man.
It's setting up the trilogy.
What trilogy do you think?
I mean, they're going to do I think they're going to do an Ospreay Danielson trilogy.
I don't. Listen, there's not many times I think, hey, listen, I don't want a trilogy. I don't know how you top this.
I don't think it's going to be like a WWE trilogy where they run it back on
no
Dynamite in 2 weeks. I'm saying it's going to be like an Okada Omega trilogy where I'm saying probably not at Wembley. I could see it accumulating.
It could be at Wembley.
Because you would assume Ospreay's going to win it at Wembley.
I don't think that. I'll tell you why I don't think. And I think I said this last Wednesday when Mox cut the promo. I feel his next match is against Mox, probably a double or nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's looking like they're setting up with DCC, Don Callis family. I feel Danielson's out till like summertime. Like this is an injury angle to make him. You don't need him because you don't need like. Do you need Danielson for double or nothing? No, that's the strength of the AEW card. You don't actually need to actually put Bryan Danielson on double or nothing.
Well, like say he comes back in like June.
I can see Danielson, Ospreay 2 at Wembley. I could see that match.
Well, I'm saying he comes back in June, and then they have the third match at Wembley. Like he comes back in June, they fight right away. They stay away from each other for a couple months. Fuck all happens, and then they have their rubber match at Wembley. But even that might be a little quick, in my opinion. I could see them, but he's still gonna wrestle. Like he said it himself. Like I could see them eking this out until next year's Wembley.
So
and doing the third match then.
I can see them doing you need the second match between now and next year's Wembley. I would say you do the second match because
Danielson's almost certainly going to win the second match. It's just how wrestling works.
But here's the thing: they have the pay-per-view schedule, right? Do you do Danielson have that as like his last full-time match in Washington at Wrestle Dream? Because Wrestle Dream is in his home state. Because to me, I thought what would have been cool is if his last match, full-time match, is in Washington and it's him versus Swerve, two people from Washington State winning. Because they would be in Swerve, or you could do Darby and Swerve, honestly. I think that could be great for Wrestle Dream. But
the tough part of that is someone's got to lose.
I mean, here's the thing we have to accept with Danielson. Danielson doesn't hate losing.
I know for sure. Hate losing. But like to have a big rubber match, he's got to win one.
But we hate Danielson losing more than Danielson hates.
For sure. I agree. But someone's got to lose for them to have a rubber match.
Okay, so how about this?
And then
maybe not all in, but do you do Danielson Ospreay all out the weekend after because they do the 2 pay-per-views back to back? Since you can
the United Kingdom will riot if you hold Ospreay and Danielson from them and put it in Chicago.
You have to do Danielson Ospreay.
Especially after they kind of biffed the card last year and sold out for the All Out. The fact that they did All In, All Out back to back and we're like, yeah, this is a good idea. We're going to do it again next year.
I realize also AEW's roster are just sickos. Like the people who love to wrestle, it's just sickos. Like the fact that Danielson did the Bunkhouse Brawl match. Don't know if you watched that match. Fucking brutal and entertaining. But the fact he did that and then wrestled Will Ospreay 24 hours later is like, you really are a sick man. You really are a sicko. Like, did you see his promo after that match?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and listen, I might start this after this podcast, so maybe in the next week. But I want to do a GoFundMe, right? Because we need to have a conversation with Danielson's child. Like, listen, I understand your daddy made you a promise that he's going to stop wrestling full time, but you don't need your daddy. You see, us, we need it.
So for clarity, you think you're more important than Bryan Danielson's children.
I'm not saying me.
I want to check all wrestling fans out there because I've seen that tweet going around a lot lately.
Listen, I got at least 10 people that have already agreed to be on this with me. At least 10 people because we need this.
Okay, just second then. You think that you and money is more important than Bryan Danielson.
She can get therapy when she's at the age of therapy, okay? When she can access the healthcare and everything, she'll be fine. Look, I didn't have my dad there all the time. She can be perfectly fine.
This is just some sort of revenge thing.
No, it's not a revenge thing. Why am I getting abandoned? How dare you have a fantastic run and then you decide to leave me, okay?
I feel like that leads me, you're projecting a little bit.
No, that leads me to this. And I'm willing to fight anybody. And I'll look straight into the camera. Anybody for this. Bryan Danielson is the greatest wrestler I have ever seen in my life.
Agreed. I always thought he was a great wrestler. I never saw him as one of the greatest of all time when he was in WWE. And then in AEW, not only did he get to that tier, he's in a tier by himself.
If you look at the matches he's had since he broke his arm last June, broke his arm last fucking June. The matches he has had is fucking insane. If we want to include before that, you still have him and Takeshita last year, him and Bandito last year.
I can't even think of somebody who I would put over him. Like maybe Okada,
No,
maybe Omega.
because you have to also think about this. He's had great matches in Japan, Mexico, and America in the last 2-3 months.
Maybe Shawn Michaels.
No, I wouldn't. You know what? And here's my thing. If we put his whole total run since he came back from injury,
maybe Bret Hart.
Maybe.
Like, again, it's all maybes. Like,
it's definitely question. Like, look at him. You said maybe at least 4 times.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm just putting names out there that somebody could lob back at you.
Like, even if you look at it.
And I think all of them can be shot down.
Yeah. All of them.
And like, there's arguments like for all where it's like, okay, well, maybe Okada had the best championship reign. Maybe, or Shawn Michaels is the greatest performer, or Bret Hart can have the best matches with anybody.
But you can say
still, Danielson can do all of those things.
Yeah, I was about to say you could say almost he's had that. Like, and if you look at moments between this, when did he come back? He came back 2018 from injury. That's when he came back, right? If you look at 2018, people can feel how they want to. I love him and Brock. Him and Brock Lesnar was amazing to me. I love the storytelling of that match. Him and Kofi. He had one of the best Fiend matches that anybody ever had of the fucking Fiend. Him and AJ in the empty arena for the IC belt. Him and Roman and Edge. And then if you want to go to AEW, it's just banger after fucking banger.
And think about his like, he just did 2 matches with Zack Sabre Jr. that are a whole world different from the match he just had with Ospreay.
Him and Blue Panther. Again, another world different of just lucha libre. Him and Hechizero. Another level of just madness. Him and MJF.
Adapts to every style of wrestling. Like, even like the biggest thing with Bret Hart is people that, like, the biggest credit they give him for is that he can have a good match with anybody, and they cite the Tom McGuire match or the Diesel match, but he's still wrestling like to their style. And I mean, he's still wrestling to, I mean, not he's to his style. I mean, and, you know, like you said to McGuire, give him what's your 3 best moves. And then he worked that into the match and made him look like a star.
Yeah.
With Diesel, it was breaking down his legs and chopping down the tree. Like, he was able to force everybody into his style and make it work and still be tremendous. No discredit.
Of course.
But like, Danielson is wrestling entirely different styles in every single match that he does, and is the best at every single style.
And it's fucking crazy.
It is. It's so fucking.
This is why I need. Listen, Birdie. I just need you to understand. Listen, there's no hatred, girl. I respect it. Everybody deserves that father, but we need him for a little bit. Like, don't cut me off here. Like, don't cut me off here. Like, I need this. I need this. Like, as someone, like, Danielson was always the person I loved in wrestling, right? Like, I've loved him from the first time I've seen Danielson, I've been a fan. And in WWE, I was like, I get it. He's not wrestling his style. He's still doing fantastic within the WWE style. And then once I got him in AEW and I got a taste of it, I remember when I was at Grand Slam and I seen him do cattle mutilation. And I was like, oh, I see.
Which is a fucking crazy thing to name a move, and we don't talk about it enough.
I fucking love it. But I'm like, oh, we're going here. Oh, okay. Like, if you think about it, in his first couple of months in AEW, you had him versus Kenny, him and Suzuki, and then him and Hangman did a Broadway. A whole fucking 60-minute draw.
Which is the best Dynamite match in history.
And it's like, oh my God. It's like, I don't think we fully understand how amazing this run of Bryan Danielson has fucking been. And I also say that to say this. My God, is Will Ospreay worth every fucking penny Tony Khan offered him, and even more?
he could be the difference maker for AEW, and it's something that's been said a lot for AEW, especially when they had their like original string of signings from like Andrade to Keith Lee. But I think he's really the one.
He not only do I think he's the one, but I think Ospreay, and I'm willing to explain it after I say this. I don't think he could have. I think there's no other place for Ospreay but AEW right now.
No, because I don't want to give him discredit. I think he could do it. I think he
could. No. I don't think the match we had last night could happen in WWE to a point. I think there's some parts that could have. There's some parts that they're not letting certain stuff happen. Like that tiger suplex off the top rope ain't happening. Yeah, that tiger driver ain't fucking happening. But for him, I feel like he is someone. He needs to have not any chain, not any restriction. Like the thing is, he gets to fly freely in a way in AEW that I think is amazing, and I think I've been blown away more of like getting to see Ospreay the person and the character communicate, like his like talking, everything.
Yeah,
and then his emoting, his selling, man. I have been blown away by Will Ospreay. I was already a fan, and I thought he was one of the best ever. And he might. This is going to be crazy to say. He might be my favorite wrestler right now, and it's nuts for me to say that. With my favorite wrestler just winning the fucking championship last night. So,
was that your second favorite match of the night?
Swerve Joe.
Yeah.
So, if we're talking about, first of all, let's talk about this. AEW does not. It's so rare for them to miss on a pay-per-view. It almost feels like, how the fuck that happened? Last night, from top to bottom, except we know what match we all universally, it's just like, man. But
I actually, if we're gonna touch on it for a moment,
you want
to. I like the match. I think where they go with it next is interesting. Important. And I think what Jericho can do with it is tantalizing.
I think
if anybody can pull this shit out, it's Jericho. And I've been hitting on Jericho a lot too lately. I think he's going to get booed out of the building on Wednesday. I think he'll be able to pivot it away from like go away heat to legit heat. And I think it's going to be really good. If Jericho just absconds with the title and him and Hook don't get near each other again, that really sucks. Like, I think you need to follow up on it immediately. You're on mute, my guy. Can't hear shit.
So my thing with Jericho is they have to do something with this instantly. I don't hate the match. You know what I'm saying? I do feel
like the match was good. It was a good match.
It's overstated its welcome just a little bit.
Maybe a little long, yeah.
Like the whole thing with the bat and everything at the end was a little too much. But honestly, to hear that they had Fozzy sucks chants, please retire chants, all that was where I was just like, ooh, this is go away heat. But I'll give you this credit, how you said it. How Jericho can flip this, and he can, is very important. Wednesday would be an interesting follow-up. I agree with you there.
He's already leaning into it.
Yeah, so at this point, let's see what happens. I'm willing. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm willing to see it play out. But as it being the only low point I have from the pay-per-view, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
The one thing I'm very happy to see, very interesting enough to see. Jack Perry, the reaction to Jack Perry coming back in the match shocked me. The reaction of the crowd and them singing "Oh, Cry Me a River," for them chanting that after the Bucks win, and the arena being very pro for him is like, okay, so Jack got something out of all of this. Like he did come out with something out of all of this. So, and he's going to be with the Elite, which I think helps him.
Yes, I think they got to move away from like referencing it.
Like this is it. Just make him part of the Elite. Let's set him to go after a title or something. Let's see where they take Jack Perry. The ladder match was a damn good ladder match. Now, I couldn't hear the ladder match as we was on our lovely Zoom conversation, and it got turned into a different discussion last night.
We all needed to decompress after the Ospreay Danielson match. Like, it was just impossible to follow.
I think,
and it was the right match to follow.
Yeah,
but it was just impossible to.
But it was a really good ladder match, and I think honestly, also this might be one of their better paced cards.
Yeah,
because I do think putting the Jericho match before Tony Thunder helped out Tony Thunder, especially with Tony Thunder going into Danielson, Ospreay going into the ladder match, going into the championship match. I think honestly a great card. My highlights.
So what's two behind Daniel?
I have Okada, Pac. That was a fucking
not amazing. Joe and
I have Joe Swerve 3 only because I feel like I just wanted to see my moment. I just wanted to see the moment I wanted to see for so long. But if you're asking me in ring wise, Okada, that was Okada's best match that he's had in AEW to this point.
Yeah.
Hands down. And they killed it, and I love that match. I think Joe Swerve had a good story. I thought it was going to be a little more violent because they was really bigging up the violence, bleeding. I thought it was going to bleed a little bit more into that, but I love it. And then fourth would be the trios. I love that trios match. That trios, Eddie Copeland and Mark Briscoe versus House of Black. I love that match.
So that would actually be my 3.
That would be your 3?
Danielson, Ospreay, of course. And then I would go Pac Okada 2 and the trios match, House of Black versus Eddie Edge.
By the way,
Briscoe.
Just because I said 4 does not mean 5 being Roddy and Kyle being it's okay. That was a damn good match too. They really had top to bottom good ring match.
Now you see 4, I'm gonna go with FTR Young Bucks. I can't wait to boo the Bucks.
Love it. Yeah. Love it.
5, I'm going to go Storm, Rosa. 6, we got Willow and Julia. And what was the one you just said?
Roddy Kyle. That was a really
6, I would go Roddy Kyle. And still we're at 9 out of 10 matches. I would give it a score of at least 8 out of 10.
Even being at 6 is still you're doing a good
it's still 8 out of 10s minimum.
Yeah.
And then I'm going Julia Willow.
Also, Thunder Rosa.
Getting something.
Thunder Rosa Tony Storm was the best Tony Storm title defense she's had. That was one of her best matches as a champion. What matches you said already?
And then I guess the 8th. There were 8 matches.
There was 9.
So what am I forgetting?
I
guess is Willow, Julia, and then Hook Jericho.
Oh yeah. Hook Jericho is at the bottom for me. I mean, I think that's obvious.
I think I would like to see. I think it's interesting. The first title Mercedes is going to go after is the TBS title.
Yeah.
I'm also getting pretty tired of Mercedes just coming out there and dancing and dipping.
I do like
why isn't she wrestling?
She's not cleared yet.
She's not cleared yet?
Mm-mm.
See, why would you have her come back until?
Because she's not going to be when she gets cleared. It's actually a year to the date, which is doubling up.
All right.
So, Tony had talked about it on the scrum. That's the one thing I know. I saw. She hasn't been fully cleared. She's wrestling and she's training, but she's not been fully cleared.
Yeah, I got
you. I noticed they're picking it up as her stealing Willow's spotlight, which has me feeling okay. So we're definitely going to do Mercedes heel. Good. So my happy moments are Swerve. I think you may have saw me when Willow won the title.
Oh, you know what I did? I skipped Swerve Joe.
You did.
So I'm gonna.
You said no. You said that's your number 2.
No. Because it's Danielson Ospreay. It's boom one. Pac Okada. It's the trios match. It's the tag match. It's Tony and Thunder, and then I'll go Joe and Swerve, and then I'll go Willow and Julia, and on and on.
Yeah. Kyle and Riley.
He's in there probably. So
yeah, we got it. I will say,
you want to? Yeah.
Before we get to our discussion,
well, I was going to ask you about something else.
Oh,
something we never.
Before we get to that,
yeah.
I just want to take a moment to appreciate this. I know they said, I think it was like WWE before took like 30 or 40 years to like crown their first black champion. I just, as a wrestling fan in my lifetime, to have seen like Bobby, Mark Henry, Booker, Kofi, Big E, see Swerve. It makes my heart very happy as a black wrestling fan, and to watch Kofi. Swerve and Willow last night.
Willow in front of her hometown and her family.
No, Willow's from Long Island. What are you talking about?
Well, in front of just her family.
Her family, but to see that with her family is, man, that made me. I think you saw me when she got the 1, 2, 3. We was on Zoom, and you just saw my arm shoot up, and I started just fucking like punching the air.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry when Swerve won, but also my girlfriend does not understand wrestling to my terms, so I know if I did, it would have been like, what the fuck happened? So yeah.
Do you want to spend a minute on TNA? Oh, what? It cut off.
We good?
52. Do you want to spend a minute on TNA? Because I watched a couple matches. I saw a few highlights.
I'm in the same book. I saw a few matches.
It's unbelievable how TNA can so regularly build up goodwill and so regularly kick themselves in the shin. Like, Broken Matt Hardy, like, hit its zenith, its peak 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you had him return in the gimmick to spike your biggest star after just winning the championship.
Yeah.
Like, there's no good way to go next. It's like you have him lose, and then what? Like, why'd you even bring him back? For like the nostalgia pop? Like, okay, but now you're doing the same thing you always did, which is putting over or bringing back like big stars or supposedly quote unquote big stars just for your like young guys to get buried, and you're not building up any talent. And then if he wins, holy fuck, are you going to go laugh at? It's just like we've done this before. Like, we've already seen this. Broken Matt Hardy got TNA to the highest peak it could possibly have gotten.
At that time, absolutely.
Like, you're putting such a ceiling on your business. Like, it's not like it's going to be better now. And it's not like you're going to produce more quality shit or get yourself more popular with it.
No. It's one of those things that makes me think like, God, why the fuck did y'all fire Scott D'Amore? Why the fuck did y'all see? You know, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, which is just like, why the fuck did you fire Scott D'Amore? And why are we moving backwards?
And we want them to be good. Like, where everybody is like, wills TNA to be good. And then is so excited when it's something great really happens. And then they kick themselves in their shin again.
My confusion is, why is Matt Hardy and he hasn't signed.
Yeah, he said I'm a free agent.
But my thing is, why is he now going after your champion when you have a Jake something? You have fucking Mike Bailey. You have Josh Alexander on your roster. You have access to even Mustafa Ali. Don't matter how people make it. Who's like the hottest person going around the indies right now. You have other people on your damn roster available to you. We bring in, I can barely move my hips, broken Matt Hardy at nearly 50 years old. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, listen.
It's like the Jurassic Park quote. They spend a lot of time thinking, can we, instead of should we?
It's like, brother, listen, I'm already, Moose is cool. He's not really somebody I go crazy about.
I really like Moose. And I think he would be a great champion.
But my thing is just like,
so much.
You have so many other valuable, can get a great match storyline talent. Like, you even have Jonathan Gresham on your fucking roster. Like, what are we doing? Trey Miguel, Myron Reed. You have all these things available.
Myron Reed was on the pre-show. That's fucking ridiculous. And ate the pin.
Myron Reed was on the pre-show with ABC and the Rascals. What the fuck are we doing?
Myron Reed should be a star. I think about that shit all the time.
And it's just like
instead Matt Hardy.
Like, listen, I want Impact to do so good. But sometimes I'm just like, why do we keep... This is why we can't have nice things. TNA
is like the end of The Shining, where you realize you've been living like the same, like...
Groundhog Day, yeah.
The same existence over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like... Because they make the same mistakes. Like, and then it begins anew. And then they make the same mistakes.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy because I want them to do good, like Mike Santana.
We all want them to be good.
Like,
right, Mike Santana's back too.
I think Impact's a perfect place for him to get a singles run.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect place for him to flush out and do whatever he wants. I think that's perfect for him. I think he could do a lot of great things in Impact. I thought if he's going anywhere, he's going to Impact. He's there. I think it's perfect for him. The Matt Hardy thing just instantly, like, it's like the air being let out the balloon. Like, you blew up a very beautiful thing, and it's just like, oh, it's like a wet fart in church. It's just nasty.
How have you not learned your lesson by now?
I mean, is that a shock?
Yeah, it fucking is. How many times can you make the same mistake?
They've lived through 20 years of it. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, it's not that shocking.
AEW should let Jeff Jarrett go, and so he can win the title in TNA.
Oh, you haven't heard?
What?
He's restarted Global Force. He's restarted his Global Force thing.
What does that mean, though?
You remember when Impact at one point?
No, I know that. I know, but like, what does that mean? Like, is he with AEW? Is he starting a whole new company?
He might start his own company.
I can't wait till it comes out that him and Vince McMahon have partnered.
All right, let's get to the discussion question. You instantly just took out every bit of energy by putting that image into my head. And I wanted to throw up instantly as you said it.
Hey, never underestimate Jeff Jarrett's ability to be a fucking carny.
Oh, I'll never underestimate that. Man will do anything for $1.
Mm-hmm. Discussion for the week. Mm-hmm. One I thought of. What, like, substrain, subgenre, because, you know, you got your Haas's, you got your high flyers, you got your brawlers, but drilling down a little deeper, what subspecies, unique strain of wrestler is your favorite? So you got like submission-based wrestlers, you got big guys who can move. I'll say mine. Like, I love wrestlers with a striking-based offense. I think it's so unique. And really at this point, like, I've watched so much wrestling where if you give me anything new, I'm going to get, like, excited. And there's so few wrestlers with striking-based offenses. Undertaker, Malachi Black, Anthony Ogogo, when he can wrestle. Like, the list is small on these guys. When he was on the Indies and wrestling in OTT, Jordan Devlin, JD McDonough had a really cool, did it really well.
He really was, actually. Now that you said it, I thought about it. Like, when he was on the Indies, he did have a way well better.
He like incorporated a whole boxing style.
Yeah, that's true.
Kyle O'Reilly.
That's why I love Kyle. to be 100%. Shibata.
Mm-hmm. The Kyle O'Reilly when he, and this is not striking based wrestling, but it is just what I mentioned before about like if you show me something new, I'm gonna get excited. When he drops to his back and like gets into a guard, and like and he uses it in his tag team psychology a lot to back his like who he's facing into his corner. Because he's like, what are you going to do? Like, what's your idea to combat this? You're not going to get down here with me, and you're not smart enough of a fighter to get me back onto my feet.
Right. That's a good question, honestly. I would want to say I'm a big fan of the hybrid, like the people that can be, like they show power and powerhouse abilities, but they're high flyers. Like Ricochet shows the ability sometimes, like when he cut, like he was having a match with Ivar on Raw, and he caught Ivar, and did like a fall away press with Ivar, who's not a small man.
No,
but you're gonna find this fun. I do like the bigger dudes that can do stuff that is like high flying. Like I love a Keith Lee. Now, you may find this funny because you love Wardlow, and I am not always the biggest Wardlow fan. I find Wardlow. Yes, he's a hybrid, but there's also things that I need from somebody who's a hybrid. I need you to be a good emoter. Like, you need to be able to emote. Like, get certain things across.
Yeah.
Because you already have a total package, which is crazy. But if you can't sell and you can't give me some emotion, it's going to be a little hard. Because then you're a super creative player. Point? You're just a super creative player that's just kind of maxed out on everything. And it's like, I need you to really be able to, like, give me danger. Give me but
Luchasaurus was great at that when he was a face and like his offensive playbook was really open.
I love the Luchasaurus hot tag. I used to love his hot tag. Because then he do the moonsault and then he gets so hype up on the ring ropes. I'd be like, yeah, I like that.
I love Suplex McGee's. Like people who just have crazy like suplexes and find new ways to do suplexes.
You know who I love for that? Jeff Cobb.
Yes.
He will fling your ass into like next week.
And like turn into a suplex from like any position.
I love suplex monsters. I love them.
He uses that like amateur wrestling background to come up with some really cool creative shit.
First time I ever, so you know, I don't know if I've ever actually said it here. So my first real introduction to Jeff Cobb was him. I think it's Matanza in Lucha Underground, and I had no idea it was Jeff Cobb. Like I had no idea until I seen him do the tour of the islands on an indie show, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
that shit is crazy."
I know that move, and I was just like, "Wait, he's that?" But he had this other move. He threw somebody up into the air, and right before they could hit the ground, he caught them. And then did like from a squat position, and then did a spinning out like belly to back suplex. And I was just like, what the fuck?
What are we doing here? Yeah.
He teased a match for Forbidden Door, and the sick human being in me wants it. I want it so bad. Will Ospreay said that Claudio is the strongest person he's ever been in a ring with, and Jeff Cobb said, "Can anybody get me to America as quickly as possible?" And I said, the idea of Jeff Cobb and Claudio.
That's such a good match.
Throwing each other around. And you know what? Another hybrid. Claudio. Claudio is like a different type of like...
Human being?
Because when you think about the fact Claudio's 45 or 44 doing all this, and he doesn't look like...
Looks better than ever.
He looks like he gets better every time I see him in the ring, and I'm perplexed. Like, and he finds a way. He's just like an amazing base, amazing like everything. I love it. Also, I love a brawler. I love a good brawler. Like somebody got some good punches in them.
You gotta go, but like you gotta go down further. Like a brawler is a species. We need a subspecies.
You know what I like?
You need like a brawler who can be technical as like a subspecies.
I kind of like because I wouldn't even call Kevin Owens a brawler. Like, he can be, but he's like a hybrid brawler because he can do everything. Like Kevin Owens is a hybrid, too. Because he could do the high flying stuff. He could do frog splashes, swantons. He could do the jumping turning moonsault that he does. Like Kevin Owens can do it all brawl with you. So I take that as a hybrid again of like that. I love high flyers, but I kind of love the ridiculous high flyer. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love me a good high flyer. But Ray Phoenix ain't a regular high flyer. Like, a Ray Phoenix jumping from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing.
Like a dude who can use the ropes really well.
Yes. Like, I love that. Like, what's his name? God damn it. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic.
I know who you're talking about, too.
Grand Metalik?
Yeah.
Love Grand Metalik.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So let us know your favorite subspecies of wrestlers. Drop it down in the comments. Shoot us a message on Instagram. Share. Tell us.
Yes.
One we didn't even think of.
Exactly. Tell us. Enlighten us because we love that. We love when you guys
we do.
involved with that.
We really do.
But Jack, tell them.
Catch me on Jack Doc Simon on Instagram and Twitter and JackSimonMakes.com. Mute.
And you can follow me at Life Dean. Follow us on Instagram, Wrestling Romance. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Deuces.